I was gonna say, we wanna know what's going on behind the curtains.
Hi, Jeff.
Hey, Anna.
Good evening, this is a 6:30 planning board member.
Somebody
Planning-
flipped the switch?
I think it's already on, see, we're live.
Yes, I did.
See, I think that's me up there. 6:30, September, what's the 6th, the 7th, what is it today?
8th.
Why is it not on this?
It's at the top.
What? No, it just says room 103, 6:30 PM, there's no,
Thursday, September 8th.
where does it say?
At the above street.
Oh, yeah, Thursday, September, okay, all right, I'm having a blonde moment. Actually, a gray moment. All right, do you want to start with board business? Since we have nothing else to do? Minutes, anybody look at the minutes?
I did. I didn't see anything at issue.
Anna?
Yes, I did see the minutes, so I'm good with them.
Okay, so I'll entertain a motion to approve the minutes as presented for August 15th.
I so move.
Second?
Second?
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Board member update, I skipped that. Do we have any updates? Do you have anything? No, do you?
Well, I wanted to ask, when would be a good time for the conversation about blended funds with CPC? It's something that we have sort of briefly mentioned before, but I think CPC's members are going to try to have a conversation with the select board, planning board, and any other board that might have the need for blended funds. And so is there a better time to be able to do that?
Just when I was on the CPC, the conversation started about blended funds back then. The thought was to always try to do blended funds with that. That's why all our money has been going into
No,
the
they haven't been
CPC.
doing it the last couple of years.
How come? Is that why we're doing the gift thing? There's a bunch of money sitting there.
Right, which is why they would like to address it this fall.
Right.
This fall is,
Yeah.
yeah. So.
So October, November, what are you thinking?
What do we need to, don't we want to earmark all the money? I don't know why it's not. I guess I'm kind of
Well,
lost.
that's why I think we would have to have the conversation.
But we don't have any blended funds going in, do we?
No, planning board, it's not planning board funds, it's
Yeah.
Affordable Housing Trust funds would be the funds that would go to CPC.
Okay. As a personal, I know the money I donated to the town when I sold King Street is still sitting there. It hasn't been allocated yet. I think that's part of what's going on in the fall town meeting, so it can go from the gift fund that it's in now into CPC funds for blended funds, but I'm all in favor of that, absolutely, yeah, if we can get, okay, do you want to put it on for, not that we really have any say in it, I mean, we want the money to go there, so.
I guess one way to have that conversation would be whether the planning board wants to take a position on some of the town meeting warrant articles. That would be one way to approach it. Because otherwise, I would have to agree with Mark, the planning board doesn't really have skin in the game
Okay.
on the blended funds. But
Well, we should obviously
if
set-
you choose to take a position on it,
I think we should at least send a letter that, moving forward, any monies that we get, not that we ever get any, but should be going into the CPC for blended. I just assumed we were doing that.
I was just going to recommend that, actually, that, because this was before my time in terms of CPC, and if blended funds used to happen and now they're not happening,
Yeah.
I don't know what happened in that process, but if it's the wishes of the planning board that that's what be done, at least putting it in writing would be helpful.
Yeah. But yeah, I don't know why it stopped. I know when, like I said, I was on it 5 years ago probably. That was the discussion. We had, I believe we had even Keith was still there back then. We had Keith come to the CPC and say, yeah, our position is that we want to do blended funds because we want to get the bump from the state.
right, and recently it's been quite significant. You know, for planning purposes, I was saying 18%, but it'll probably be more like 35.
Yeah.
So
So we
that's,
should be putting every nickel.
So if a letter can be written to CPC.
Yeah, we should tell them that we
would be good.
support any monies coming in, either from us or, well, we should probably have that why don't you put it on for Affordable Housing Trust too? Because they're the ones that have money, actually. We still have money sitting around in the Affordable Housing Trust that hasn't been done yet
Right,
either.
right.
So,
Okay. Other than that, no.
Okay.
The Affordable Housing Trust, Bartlett usually talks about that, but we're moving forward with an action plan. Is that right, Maren? Affordable Housing Trust.
It's still waiting for staff to move forward on it.
Okay.
anything else?
Nope.
Mark, are you here for any specific reason? You just want to, we're continuing most everything. We don't have a quorum. You're welcome. I just didn't want to waste your time, but if you want to hear me talk, you're more than welcome to sit back there. All right, what else next? Bills and payroll, we have anything? I'm not doing payroll
Oh,
anymore,
right, I should take payroll off the list.
Yes.
because,
So Ed's paying you now out of his pocket? Okay.
Doesn't work quite that way, but.
Yeah, I know,
it's-
but
it's now
he's approving it.
Now a departmental payroll that,
Do we have any bills? Probably not.
no. I'll have a reimbursement request for the next meeting, just for.
Okay. We have Cooper Farms. What do we want to do next about Cooper Farms? As you guys all know, and Jeff was there, and the ZBA upheld our decision about the fact that they owe us at least one, maybe two affordable units. So I believe the appeal period is passed, or if it's not, it's close to passed. And now we have to instruct the building commissioner if he wants to do anything about it. So we need to kind of discuss it as a board, what our next step is.
He's already denied the building permit for the 16th unit.
Correct.
What more can he do?
He can start penalizing them because they're in violation of their special permit. We can stop.
I'm not wild about that.
I'd still, well, I'd
I
still.
mean, you put it on the table, but
Um,
I don't know, yeah.
Well, I think that's a discussion that I'm thinking we should actually have more planning board members
Yeah.
present.
They want the three of us? Okay. I think that, I actually kind of agree with Andrew about that. I think we all should weigh in on that one.
Okay.
Yeah.
Would you like to do that at the virtual meeting?
Sure.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah, put it on for next week. Yeah, I agree with you. I don't think he gets us anywhere, but we have to do something.
Okay.
I mean, you were at the meeting. The guy at the end was 100%, I forget what his name was on the ZBA. This is a bylaw.
Oh, Rod Stewart, yeah.
This was that's Rod Stewart?
That's Rod Stewart.
Wow, he's.
Not the Rod
I
Stewart,
know.
but
This was a bylaw that was enacted by two-thirds of, this is back in the old days,
Yeah.
two-thirds of the people in town of
Yeah.
Littleton. And like I try to say, we didn't want the money, we want the units, so.
right.
Anyway, okay, we'll put it on for that. Multifamily zoning for MBTA communities, final section 3A guideline.
Yep. I'll do the extremely short version of it. I have a presentation to do for the select board on their meeting Monday night. The state came out with the final guidelines for how communities comply with the new zoning requirements for multifamily housing by right near the commuter rail station. So Littleton's number of units that we need to zone for is still 750 units. It's still average unit density of 15 units per acre across the entire district. But now, since Littleton has 244 acres of developable land within half a mile of the commuter rail station, the state went through and did that analysis by GIS. So then Littleton is required to have a minimum of 20% of our district within half a mile of the Foster Street station.
So that's 150 units.
So it's a little hard to say how many units that might be at this point. But that allows the town to acknowledge more of the rezoning work that we've done at the King Street Common. And all the focus that we've had on that, which is outgrowth of our master plan.
Okay.
So the first thing I'll do Monday night is do a presentation to the select board, and part of that presentation is a request for authorization from the select board to enter into contract with a planning consultant The apparent low bid is from Emily Innes, Innes Associates. She would partner with RKG for some of the mapping work. And I highly recommend that combination of companies to help us move forward with the work. It's a whole scope of services that they bid on, and they can start as soon as we get a contract signed. And then the goal is to have, under the timeline that we've laid out, is to have that work completed and ready for fall town meeting next year.
Fall town meeting next year.
Yeah, but there would be time to discuss with them the timeline, but that's
Why not spring?
because there's too much work to do between now and then.
What if, so we have to be there by, okay, so we still will have over a year.
Yeah, right, you would
Because
have,
it's 2024, December 2024.
right.
But even though most of it's done, I mean, we did it ourselves with Judy
Right.
Barrett's.
Yep, dust off, build on, dust off is not the right word, build on all the work that we've done so far. Most of the funding will go for community outreach and for a fit analysis. They'll show the alternatives and what the alternatives would, how they'd work, what they'd look like, kind of thing.
So, Maren, so in order for everyone from our board to have seen the service contract that we're asking for, et cetera, is that part of the select board's package for Monday, or where can our members see that?
Ryan it was gonna be added to the select board.
Okay, okay, all right.
It's, started out, it starts as the basic town contract,
Okay,
but, yeah, I'm happy to send that out.
okay, yeah, that'd be great if you can send that out, thank
Yeah.
you.
Okay. So do you want any of us there if we can make it or not?
If you can make it, I think that would be helpful. Several of the select board members haven't been present through
Yeah,
the
early
process
days, yeah.
so far. Some have, some haven't, so I
Okay,
tend to forget that we need to bring everybody up to speed.
right.
I tend to jump in too deep
Right.
on it, so.
Are you gonna be around? Are you gonna try to go to it or
It
no?
depends, I've got some stuff going Monday night, so I don't know.
I'll try, I might stay down and who knows? Take advantage of Indian summer if I can, although they're saying it might rain, but,
Yeah, I will if I can, so,
Okay.
yeah.
okay. Anything else? We good with that?
Yep, so that's the process there. Yep.
All right, so if 635 administrative amendment for Weber Village. So this is the last part of the agreement that we met with the developer of Weber Village to get those 2 units finally in the lottery system for 255. Is that what the final number was?
Correct.
255. Is there a Littleton preference? I know there's not an age preference, but is there a Littleton preference
Well-
going on with this?
We'll apply for one.
Okay.
Whether DHCD grants one or not, they should be able to grant one for one of the units. They can, no more than 70% of the units, so since there's 2, they should be able to grant local preference for one of the units.
Okay. Anybody have any questions or discussion about that one?
No, I think the reason why I'm okay with doing this with 3 people is because the other 2 members were part of the discussion. But do we need the other 2 members because?
No.
Okay,
This is just,
Administrative.
yeah,
process.
just so that we're aware of it and
okay,
yeah, pretty much all set.
yep.
We don't have to vote it. It's already been approved.
I would recommend that you take a vote.
The 3 of us?
Well, given there was a special, that's kind of why I'm asking, because given that it was a special
Yeah,
permit.
I hear the question, but.
Yeah.
So do you want to vote, or do you want
I
to,
would recommend that you do vote,
even though there's only 3 of us and it was a special permit?
yes,
Okay.
to authorize an administrative amendment.
Oh, so I'll make, somebody should make a motion that we authorize the administrative amendment to finalize the last of the details for
Right,
the
as per the draft decision.
draft decision on Weber Village, to get those last 2 units affordable and into the lottery system.
I so move.
Second?
Second,
All those in favor? Aye.
Okay.
Are you happy now?
And just from an from a
Mhm.
point of order, so, Mark, you can make that kind of a motion without a problem, given that you're the chair?
Okay. I like somebody else to make it, but it's okay.
The way I've
Well-
seen things operate is often you'll offer,
You will verbalize it. I would say I so move, which I'm making the motion, and then we vote on it. So I
Okay.
think it's
Okay.
appropriate.
Okay.
Right.
The
I
way
think
the
maybe you
the
didn't
select
hear
board
it.
does it,
Yeah.
they have one person specifically that does it, and then
Right.
everybody does it. So-
Well, they actually have their motions up on the board, too,
Well,
so
yeah,
that
we don't,
helps.
we don't do our, we probably should, but
We
anyway.
could in the future when Maren has an
I was just
assistant
thinking
town.
the same thing,
planner.
and we can look at Mr. Selectman over there too.
Yeah, that, when help.
There's a lot of things we want.
Okay, so we're at 6:40, we're about there. Street acceptance requests and bond reduction requests, Douglas Street, Durkey, K subdivision. They're not ready to present to us, but we do have somebody who wants to speak about the issues up there or make us aware of something. So since you braved this rotten weather out there and decided to come to our meeting, I would be more than happy to listen to what you have to say. Just for the record, would you state your name for Maren?
Sure, I appreciate it. Jody Morrison, 11 Spruce Street. I live in the Durkey Farm subdivision that's part of the larger project. First, thanks for the thoughtful oversight of the construction. My question actually doesn't pertain to the construction of the roads. They seem like very good quality roads. The question I have is about the maintenance and operation of the roads. And it applies more broadly, I think, to the project as a whole. So it would be specific to this road, but I think it could be equally posed about the roads overall and the properties conveyed to the town. So the question is this, we see, a lovely trail going in Durkey Farm, the snow removal, there's a lot of things that are just going really as one would expect. It's all been very seamless. With respect to sort of mowing, maintenance of the right-of-ways that are part of the roads being conveyed to the town, the open spaces, the stormwater management structures that are, in those right-of-ways and in those spaces. The question is, how is that being incorporated into the maintenance plans and departments of the town? We're not seeing like
I would say-
aspects of the open spaces, aspects of those right-of-ways don't appear to be
Correct.
being maintained.
correct, and that's, DPW maintains to the maximum of their capacity. And they,
They're very,
the blunt way to put it is they don't have time to do everything.
Right.
So they often rely on, for example, on the homeowners to do the strips that are the other side of the sidewalk.
so.
Sure, and I think the homeowners generally are, anything that's adjacent to their property, absolutely, I see the homeowners taken care of. I think the question is about like the open spaces, like large pieces of property that contain some of these structures that are part of the stormwater management,
That's all
These-
part of
So the water- the-
stormwater management plan. that-
Highway department will be taking them all over, yeah, and they've always told us they don't have any money to do, they do bare minimum is what they do. I don't know if you're gonna see the field mode anymore once it's the town
Well,
controls all.
Yeah,
Some
there's
of
some very
the-
diligent efforts by the recreation team keeping a parking area for the new trail cleared, but the rest is kind of just growing up. And I think the question is, at some point, that growth is going to undermine some of that stormwater management infrastructure, which is presumably required to keep the roads in the shape we expect.
So, I have a question, Mr. Chair.
Go ahead.
So, so you're bringing this to our attention because you can see how overgrown it is, and so it's a site problem, and then also there could be underlying damage that's being done to the overall system, is what you're saying?
Yeah, and obviously,
Okay.
I'm not here as an engineer or something like that, so I don't know that, but I mean, I can intuit that at some point, left unchecked, it does become an actual issue with the function of that. So yeah, and so my question, again, it would be specific to this, but more generally to all of this kind
Are you
of
talking
contiguous project.
The fields, or are you talking the detention ponds or retention ponds?
Well, both, because some of those retention ponds are in the fields. Some of those are in right-of-ways or easements or other constructs that are part of the roads themselves and the property the town owns. Some of those would be part of homeowner properties. So it really does kind of, I mean, it touches all of those
Correct me if I'm wrong,
constructs.
but all these ponds were planted. They all have they all have.
Constructed.
Yeah, they were constructed, but they also had vegetation in them to take out the nutrients or I forget what they're supposed to be taking out, but
Well,
they're not.
right, and most of the vegetation has grown up over time
Yeah.
after they were constructed. They're, the Form A with some riprap
Right.
near the inlets and then
And
the
then
other
the-
part.
and
But,
then
again, that's, for the detention areas, those are all under maintenance of the DPW.
Right.
It's, the process to ask DPW to do more work is for DPW to get
Right.
more funding, and that process is driven by the select board and
The only thing
finance committee.
I can offer is most of the structure that was done in there was supposed to be minimally invasive and minimally maintained. I mean, that's how they're designed. They're designed to put plants in the bottom so that they maintain getting rid of the nitrogens that go in there, and that's why they're there for it. That big open field was designed almost to be self-sufficient. As far as the structures of the roadway go, yeah, obviously, if there's an issue there, then they have to take care of it, but hopefully that's not something that's gonna happen for 25
Is the open field in conservation?
No, it's the towns. It's town's open space.
Because
right now.
conservation lands are often known periodically by volunteers.
But it's
It's
still-
multiple parcels, and I believe the one that's supporting the trailhead went to recreation, I guess, or conservation, whichever is the appropriate term, but, and then the
Way up in
others,
the back.
though,
No?
I think were handled differently. So some of the parcels supported recreational use, others were strictly for conservation.
One of them, one part, the big 5-acre parcel is going to the Affordable Housing Trust, so.
That's lot one
Yeah.
of what would have been the original plan, correct, yeah.
So it sounds like, not to pass the potato, but it sounds like talking with the select board might be a better avenue, since they are the ones who have the budget for DPW and.
Perhaps, and I think, with the information you've shared, if I were to reframe the question, it would probably run more like, if we're taking on these properties and the requisite obligations with them, are we accounting for those costs and the appropriate upkeep? And, I think there's a certain logic
I
to
know.
authorizing the funding to do that work at the same time you're taking on the obligations. And again, I support fully the roads and all of that. It's more of, are we maintaining them and
Structure.
preserving the investment now that's been made in all of
Well, the
this?
roads are a different issue. The roads they have to take care of. The roads they have to plow, they have to maintain them, they have to.
Totally get it.
It's more of the structure stuff, yeah.
Right, and if the stormwater isn't managed correctly, it's gonna undermine the road beds
Right.
at some point. And so part of keeping it all working, the way we would expect is the water runs off the roads, it
Mhm.
runs through these stormwater structures and, all of that.
Well, that's part of the new approval, right, that we're looking at, doesn't it have a storm area? From what I recall, yeah, so.
Right.
So, all I can tell you is, eventually, when it becomes an issue, you're probably gonna have to bring it up with the select board to ask the DPW what they're gonna do about it, but.
Yeah, I think that's good advice, and I appreciate the clarifications on how the maintenance and the operational. can be
I see a
managed. That's
potential
helpful.
future person running for selectman. I mean, that's how things work in this town, so, but I sort of had to laugh about the town maintaining rights of way, because they do not do anything. I mean, and I understand that it's, a limitation of resources, but
Well, they never really do anything.
they never, and,
Even when
Yeah.
Jimmy was here, when Jimmy was.
yeah, I mean, they're like along Air Road, there are people who put fences up, and there's a little town-owned land, and it's just, crazy.
Right, and we
Yeah.
always have to make sure we have caution between what's state highways, like
Right.
A Road, and what's
Right.
town roadway.
But the other thing is, I think your concerns are valid for the future. I noticed this week that there was a detention pond along Air Road in Air at the Pingree Hill, and they had a crew in there, mowing down all the vegetation because apparently it was overgrown and impaired. And that's probably the, treatment that these will have to have at some point.
Over time, yeah, as they
Yeah.
get, as they get.
And I
older.
do, as you said, I see the neighbors absolutely managing everything along the roads that is adjacent or connecting to their property. It's the unique aspect of this is there's some fairly long
Sure.
stretches that don't abut any individual property owner's land.
Right, and the direction that I've seen the planning board move over time is to have the roadways not accepted as public roads, so they're designed as private ways, and for the homeowners association to do all the maintenance. But sometimes the developer, the applicant,
yeah.
isn't willing to do that.
And sometimes you get a mix of both. Look at what happened up at Wickham. Was it Wickham? What's the name of that one off of
Harvard Road.
Wickham Ave?
With the driveways.
The
that go
circle
in.
at the end of it is maintained by the neighbors. They even brought water into the circle to water other bushes.
And I see that happening too. Of course, there's some circles that have that maintenance.
Most of the time, we try to put vegetation in there that doesn't need any maintenance, but they've just taken it upon themselves to mow it and to plant it and everything else. So hopefully, I think hopefully the structures are going to be not going to be an issue, and the drainage is not going to, after all the issues we've had down there with the drainage, and we think we finally resolved everything. It seems to be working. We're in our second year of it, kind of working. So you're just going to have to keep your eye on it. But thank you for coming.
Well, we'll definitely let them
Thank
know
you.
if we see any
Yeah.
problems. Again, we're trying to stay ahead of it, I think, at this point.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
And from what I've seen, the DPW, the new town engineer is really on top of what needs to be done. I'm
It's
very
just-
impressed with Steve.
It's the money and the manpower. That's always been the issue, but we'll see.
And we did get a brief update from Brian. He and I spoke this afternoon, to give him a heads up that from what I was seeing, we shouldn't go forward with the request yet because we couldn't give it an all clear. So he'd like to continue this evening's discussion until the October 6th meeting.
Okay.
And meanwhile, if you have any questions, comments, or concerns, feel free to reach out.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, thank you all.
Thank you.
Appreciate the time.
Thank you.
Thanks.
All right, we have a 6:45. We're going to continue that public hearing till,
Okay, so the 537 Great Road Community Collective, so you're looking at adding a meeting on Monday.
the
We
19th.
need to open the hearing and then continue.
But we want to give it time specific. That's what Lauren's trying to do right now.
So on Monday, Monday, September 19th, is remote meeting. Do you want to start this at 6:30? Start the meeting at 6:30,
Are
so
you
this
good
would
for
be.
6:30 for a remote?
On the 19th?
I'm good.
That way, we could continue this first for the 537 Great Road to 6:45 PM. Take care of board
Okay.
business first.
So 6:30?
6:45.
Oh, 6:45. Oh, that's late, okay.
Okay, so we have a 7 o'clock continued
So
public.
I
All
would
right.
recommend you vote on the continuance.
I'll entertain a motion to continue the 6:45 public hearing for the adult use marijuana for 537 Great Road Community Care Collaborative till the 19th at 6:45.
I so move.
Second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All right, we have a 7 o'clock Aquifer Water Resource Special Permit, 205, 215 Taylor Street. I'd entertain a motion to push that till the 19th as well, at 7 o'clock for that one as well. And there's virtual Zoom meetings.
So move. You want to, at 6:45 also?
No, 7.
7, okay. I so move.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Can we do 7:30, or do we have to wait till
We
7:30?
gotta wait till.
No, you're no fun. But you said Robinson Road was coming in now.
He was gonna try to be here as early as 7:15.
Okay, anything else? Anything else the board want to talk about? Nope, nothing coming down the pike that we haven't heard from the Lapoli company about phase one?
About their time schedule, no, not yet. But I did hear from, had a couple recent conversations with Northern Bank. They're hoping to apply soon to be ready for the October 6th meeting.
Okay, that's
Whoa.
good.
For just the bank building or for more?
For the consolidated.
So that also plays into the Robinson Road. Remember when we talked with them early on, they were not opposed to making space available to the businesses that were on Robinson Road. So maybe we can kind of try to tie that in as well sometime in.
We'll leave that open as an option.
Yeah.
And I talked to I know this is an informal discussion with Robinson Road, for Robinson. I am a 300-foot abutter, but as long as we don't have a hearing or anything.
Yeah, this is informal,
Yeah.
yeah. And I gotta be honest, I don't think there's a whole lot of, I mean, I've been there for 40
So you
years.
recuse yourself, then,
Pardon?
then it's really informal.
Yeah.
No.
Well, yeah, I mean, Marin's point was, well, you of all people would know what the issues are, so.
No, it's different.
And anyway, so.
By the way, as meetings go, just want to put it out there that if we have our meeting in November, I would request it not be the first Thursday in November, because I have an event. So,
Okay.
Okay, looking at the November schedule, let me find a calendar here. One of the concerns is town meeting schedule.
and typically.
We also have
There,
election
right.
day.
Yeah, so those are before the 1st of November's
No,
meeting.
it's gonna be second. It'll be the first Tuesday in November, if I recall correctly.
Why can't we have it on the second Thursday of November?
Right, that's what I'm saying, it's on the 10th instead of the 3rd.
I believe that in,
Town meeting is on town meeting's on November 1.
okay, yep. And then, well, November 11 would be the holiday the next day, so 10th would work.
That's the Thursday? Second Thursday? Yeah, why don't we just put it for that then?
Well, we still have to ask the other two members.
Yeah, we'll ask them on, just remind us on the 19th if there's a conflicting issue with the other two.
And if not, then it'll be the first meeting I miss.
Oh, you're not gonna, you can't make it? No?
No, I have an event that night.
So let's talk about with Northern Bank, when they make an application, I will need to recuse myself or not.
Well, it's
I mean,
only it's your decision.
Well, I would prefer not to because I have an expertise in looking at drawings and, but, the zoning thing is clear cut.
Right, I don't think you need to recuse yourself.
I can put a call into the,
Attorney General is only because you're
Yeah.
a direct abutter. I don't think,
yeah,
you have no monetary issue in it.
no.
Yeah, the AG's office would walk you through the process of, and any recommended disclosures
Mhm.
that you could file.
And it would be then, I do the selectment thing and you guys would decide whether it's.
As far as I'm concerned, I don't have a problem with you sitting on it.
So I anticipate that the application will be for a site plan for the entire site and a stormwater special permit, but the stormwater special permit is under chapter, it's not a zoning special permit, so it requires a majority, not supermajority. So I don't think there's a planning board vote required that needs for a supermajority.
Okay.
So whether you're on the board whether it's a 4-member board or a 5-member board is not as material as with special permit applications. They're-
I'm very curious about how they're gonna handle stormwater.
yeah.
And the other thing is, obviously, we'll have peer review. Do we have,
Oh,
yeah, does that just automatically go to green or whatever?
Yeah, as soon as an application comes in, I send it over to Green for a cost estimate for a peer review. This site is, there are wetlands either on or near enough the site that it will need Conservation Commission review as well. So I coordinate with the conservation agent on the stormwater peer review, so make sure that it covers the requirements of both of the boards.
So Lauren, I have a request. During our time interacting with Northern Bank, they would oftentimes bring stuff to the meeting. Could you ask that they not do that and that they actually submit it in a timely manner, a week in advance? That would be great.
Yeah.
They just have that tendency, and it would be great to have it in advance, because otherwise it's not helpful.
Yeah, and yes,
Thank you.
I certainly agree.
So I have a general question. Whenever these development issues come up, it's always, well, when the sewer, what's going on? I mean, I know that we've approved whatever we've had to do, but what's?
Right. And the approval process that the planning board, water department went through with the planning board for town sewer, resulted in a few design changes for the stormwater. Those design changes were then reflected in the application that was in front of the state DEP for the state review. And the result of that is that they have now submitted a final EIR, FEIR. And so the review process for the FEIR is now underway. So it's just part of the standard state review process for a project the size of town sewer. That's underway.
Is there a schedule?
I believe within 60 days, they expect to have
I mean, in terms of when the system is operational. I mean, this will impact Northern Bank also.
Well, I think they're trying to be up and running within 18 months.
Right. Right now, the next step they will be going through is getting the approvals from the state. After they have approvals in hand, they'll go out to bid. After they open bids, they would be able to start construction maybe over winter, maybe this spring. It's a little hard to say.
Because they're under a constraint with the Napoli company, because they're looking at, 18 months to 2 years before they can tie in. So we had that discussion with the water department a long time ago about, my understanding was.
I would expect from what I heard, I would expect construction of the town sewer to be happening at the same time construction at the 550 King
Right.
Street site. And then as soon as the sewer is ready, then 550 King Street, the first buildings would be ready to hook up.
Sounds like Northern Bank might be there before Napoli.
Well, they have an existing, I mean, if they had a tenant for the existing building, they have an existing
System, yes.
system.
So that was one of the discussion when we talked briefly with them, but then with the water department, everything was, maybe they don't abandon this system right away until they get a better idea. What about the money? Have we gotten all the money we've been promised from the state, or is that still?
Well, if you recall, the economic development bill was recommended by the governor and then it did not pass the legislature. So I think there's some question as to whether that can pass in the current session or if it will be reintroduced next
Well, we
session.
did get some, we got like 8 million, now we're looking for
It was
another.
earmarked in a bill that hasn't passed yet.
No, but didn't we get some that was already passed? Thought we did. Now we got none of it?
Well,
Yeah.
there probably 3 different buckets. It's,
All right, I'm done killing time. I see live people in front of us.
there you go.
So, gentlemen, you're here for Robinson, wanted an informal discussion about Robinson Road?
Yes.
We've been waiting for you. Come on up, tell us, talk to us.
Could we just sit here? Is that
Sure.
okay? So, Dr. Steve here has been over at the Robinson Road for years and years, and finally has sold his practice and is starting to settle down a little more. A
Yeah,
little
it
more
was-
part-time work.
Yeah, it was rough.
And as a result of, owning the building and no longer being an owner, occupied with a business, he sold the business to someone else and no longer qualifies for the exemption on the zoning with the parking and things like that. So I provided some pictures and just a sketch of the parking spots that could be there, that are there and could be there. And we kind of want to get a feel from the board as to what exactly we could do to try to probably cure an expensive proposition and maybe even delay it as long as we can until the sewer comes down to see if there's something else that can be done in conjunction with that. Right now, there's, the apartment is there, and the house, it's a one apartment that's available, it's vacant, but it's up to 2 people typically as tenants. And then the dentist that's there now, it's just her, a hygienist, and an office worker, and they're only there 2 days a week. As of now, the practice seems to be on the decline. So we're trying to get a sense of the requirements for what the board would have for us, which is the number of parking spots that we would be required under the zoning regulations, and also to see if there's any opportunity to get relief from that, so that we can hold out and wait as long as we can until the sewer comes down.
So do you say you have 6 spots there now?
Well, there's 4 right where it says 4.
Okay.
And then there are 2 that can be used and occasionally are. I happened to go over there on one of the days that there were cars there, and there was 1 parked there. It's not paved at this time, but we could do that to try to split the baby in 2 to try to make it work for a period of time. There seems to be plenty of parking out on the street, to be honest with you. I know that some days there are more than 4, maybe 5 cars out there, and then most days there aren't any.
Mr. Chair, I have a question.
Sure.
So, Mr. Burke.
Yes.
So, was wondering, when you're referencing the sewer, can you tell me how that connects to what you're talking about? I just can't make the connection there.
Well, it's going to be interesting because I'm not sure where the sewer line's going to go. It could go up up the driveway to the house and to the office. It may go on to the other side. I'm not sure what would be the best plan for that. So if he were to put, additional parking spots in there, he'd probably be doing his driveway over and everything else.
Okay, I see what you're saying. Thank you.
So it'd be the big dig fan, And we're just trying to avoid that at this time.
Right. So one idea that was raised to me was something that I wanted to share. I don't know if it's even feasible, but the overall concept of the form-based code that is now in the village common area is to be able to cut across different parking areas from different builders, or different developments. And so it's basically being a good neighbor to your neighbor, and you share parking and all that kind of stuff. And this idea that was brought to my attention was your backside neighbor, I believe, happens to be a building on Great Road that might actually have available parking, and I didn't know whether or not anybody had had a conversation, because I don't even know if this wild idea would work, but if people would be able to perhaps park on Great Road and have a pass-through with a gate or something into the dentist office, then it could potentially remove all the cars from Robinson Road.
Parking on the Great Road across the street?
Well,
It's behind it.
it's behind it. It's-
She's talking about King Street.
Oh, I'm sorry, King Street,
Yeah.
sorry. King Street.
The office building behind you, which is more or less, the parking lot's empty most of the time.
I don't think that's this is Robinson Road and that's Great Road. And
Yeah.
behind that, I think, is property owned by Cataldo.
Correct. No, it's owned
Steve
by.
Kennard.
Oh, Steve Kennard,
Yeah.
Yeah.
another developer.
Correct, but if you can see where the property, I think, actually abuts it on the back.
This one?
It's beyond this.
Okay.
It's way beyond that.
That's
Oh,
it
that's, so you're talking about, King Street then?
King Street, I misspoke, King Street,
Yeah.
yes.
So let me see if I can't pull up that.
So
map
while
while
you're
you're-
doing that, where do your employees park right now? Do they park on the street?
They park in the back.
All right, so there's no employee parking on the street. Everything on the street is for the patients. Is there,
It could actually be, if there are 2 cars right now for the tenants, but that it's not occupied now, and then you do the 3 employees. If we do the plan with 6, it'd be 1 spot for an individual to come in and park. But there seems to be plenty of street parking.
So, I'm a Robinson Road resident. I live 3 doors up. My neighbors would ferociously argue with that. And it happens to be during business hours, when you're turning into Robinson Road, it's difficult because the road is not made for parking there and it's a very sharp turn. The moms on the street and dads are concerned about kids waiting for school buses, et cetera, et cetera. But I would say that in addition to that, our driveways are used for your cars to turn around because they don't go to the end of the street where there's a cul-de-sac. There are just numerous, and it's not constant, it's
Yeah.
not all the time, but it's not poo-poo either.
Yeah.
And,
oh, it's over there.
yeah, so,
This property right there that I'm
Right.
referencing, it abuts it
right.
right there.
Yeah, but I would also say that your site is perfect for more parking. It's flat. I don't know where the septic is that had to be assessed. And I think, for relief, you need more than this sketch to convince, I know this is informal and you want to get, but I think you need to provide more parking on site.
Well, it would be more practical to do it later on. We're asking mostly for relief for now until the sewer line comes in. And the reason being is you've got to decommission the septic and the leaching field. And some of the leaching fields may require, soil removal, in addition to just decommissioning the exchange boxes.
Where is your septic leak? It's going that way.
I think it's in the back.
It's way in the back.
It's way in the back, and that's where you could easily, like where the two spots were we were talking about, that actually could be a little driveway into more parking in the back.
Yeah, what I don't get is why you can't put more than 4 spots back there.
It looks like it's really tight, Mark.
Well, no, it looks.
I don't even buy that there's 4 spots back there.
No, but why can't they put more if you go back? Look at
I
it.
totally agree.
No, yeah, but that would be over the septic system.
Okay.
Which you still can do,
Oh, yeah. It can be done. I think it's more practical and less expensive.
Can we see the
The sketch?
No, not the sketch, the other aerial photo, yeah. So I'd just like to point out that there are times when the cars are parked all the way up to here. And it's been, in front of the planning board, we went through this Northern Bank process where that parking was a huge issue.
Yeah.
And became a galvanizing force for my neighbors to oppose that whole development. So,
Do you have a plot plan? Do you know where your septic and everything else is? Do you have any kind of?
Not right now, but this is, if we come back and ask for some relief, we can probably have all of that.
I think we'd like to see if maybe you could, even if it's gravel, just to try to put something out in the back that where patients could park.
I think you need to hire someone that knows what they're doing to do a sketch. I agree it's complicated because of the septic, but we don't know where the septic is.
Can you put
We
the
don't know
aerial
where.
back up, the other one? Your property right next to you is Sherry's office.
Yes, which there's no additional parking.
No, I know, but she has parking space in the back. She was able to.
Oh, she just put some, yeah, well, and people are parking like in the dirt.
No, I know that, but at least she
Yeah.
has a little parking lot back there.
Yes.
There's no reason you couldn't put some sort of little bit of a parking lot back there to get those 4 cars off and have the patients park back there. And I don't think we'd be, especially if it's gonna be temporary till the septic came in, if we'd be,
Into the sewer.
till the sewer. Sewer came in. If it was just a gravel area where the patients could park, if you could show us if it's possible to do, then that would definitely buy you time until a permanent fix could be, but just.
Well,
to
and
try
I would
to-
also say that you and your people did not park in the driveway. They parked in the street. Fine. But if there was more provision for parking for employees, that would help.
Suggest that the employees park up the back.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, but it hasn't happened up to now, despite what you've,
Yeah.
I mean,
I own the building. If I tell them that the employees are not allowed to park on the street.
fine,
Yeah.
but that hasn't been the way it's been.
Right, no, I've just relatively recently been made aware of this. And I'll be glad to tell them that, hey, look, you cannot park in front, park in the back.
Right. Make
Yeah,
a spot for them and to help alleviate, and then that'll buy you enough time for the, if you can make it more
Yeah, I'll be glad to
palatable.
tell her as her landlord. And I have a good relationship with her, so I think that that's not a problem.
Okay. And then like Jeff says, maybe get some professional design of what you could put out.
Even,
Yeah,
not
well,
like an engineer.
It's in your
thing,
best
but-
interest because
Oh, yeah.
it's gonna make it more palatable to rent the apartment, to keep an ongoing business in there and everything else like that.
And I don't know what the zoning enforcement officer will accept, but there needs to be some gesture toward relieving the parking on Robinson.
Yeah, I agree with that. We were hoping maybe too would help somewhat with some cars still being on the road, but.
My issue, I'll be full disclosure, I live here, I work here, so I walk between here and
You
here.
know, you drive your car there. I see your car there.
I drive.
So.
And sometimes I walk. So I really have more of an eye on things than maybe even you do. You do not park 4 people back there now.
Yeah.
It's just not the case.
Do you drive through my property?
No.
No.
No. I might walk through yours to go to CVS.
Well, that's no
Do that,
problem.
yeah.
That's fine. I was gonna put a passive area out there with a flagpole and some,
Oh, to keep,
Picnic
do people
tables.
actually drive through there?
oh, yeah.
From the CVS parking lot?
Well, you'll
or-
notice I put the black chain up.
Yeah, I did notice that.
Where was your property?
I'm
He's
2 doors over from Sherry's, next one
Oh,
over.
So he actually, this
Oh.
is sort of like a little field.
That's my leaching.
Oh, I'm sorry, you're
Yeah.
Brian Burke.
Yes.
Why didn't I remember that? Sorry about that. Yes. So people
I
actually
should-
drive from CVS?
That's
across?
amazing.
Wow.
Well, some gentleman got stuck after a torrential rain one time, and he I don't think he had a four-wheel pickup truck, but he had gotten stuck, and he just dug it up really bad.
And then he got mad at you because it was too wet for him to drive through.
Yeah, and so he tried to go one direction, and he backed up, he tried to come up another, and he couldn't get through, but he was committed to going through to CVS.
Hmm.
And that's the chain.
Well, that's unfortunate.
So I can relate to the parking problem as well, and I think we'll be, we'll go back, we'll sit down, and we'll see. And we can even talk with Ed, because we're hoping that some of the more relaxed rules and regulations in the village common area will, I'm sure there's some center ground for everyone to be on. We just wanted to get a kind of a sense of, I'm glad that you actually live on Robinson Road.
Well, I think that I'm sort of afraid to speak for my neighbors because they had very strong opinions about it.
Yeah.
Maybe not as strong as mine. And so I think that you will need to make some kind of gesture toward providing more parking on your site in my view, for the zoning enforcement officer to let things go forward.
Ed was pretty clear that he said as long as we're in discussions and we're moving forward, he's not going to drop the hammer on us.
Good.
And he was very upfront about it, so we appreciate that too.
I'm just curious, when I owned the practice, it was much, much busier than it is now. I had like 6 employees.
Yeah.
And I feel bad, I'm just becoming aware of this. How big a problem was it when I owned the practice?
It was a big problem.
Wow, and I wish, because honestly, if somebody had brought it to my attention.
And here's the problem, and just to this is a really sharp turn when you're coming from Great Road. And if you have cars parked all along here, and you have a car waiting, coming through here, it's just, you're pulling off Great Road, you're at speed, it's just a little, it's a dead-end street, so.
I'm honestly surprised that you didn't hear from the neighbors about your parking.
We've had years of hearings for Northern Bank that was the big,
Yeah.
now, the other thing is, I know that your neighbor, when Mr. Furbeck was living there, was really angry about people turning in the driveway to turn around. I mean, he at some point put some kind of, it was a little half-assed, but some kind of barrier about it. And I can't believe you didn't notice that. I mean, there were things along the street to keep people from parking on his, but whatever.
It definitely was. Did you have a Robinson Road dental discount? Is that why they didn't complain?
No.
I'm just kidding.
I love the free parking on the street, though.
Anyway, well, hopefully you can come up with something that
Sure.
gives you a little bit of time so that ultimately when.
And then there is one space that's beyond, I'm not sure what that is. It's like
I know, it's a weird thing. And
Yeah.
you said people park there.
Yeah, it's a perfect parking spot, but I don't even know if it's legal.
But it's town-owned, it's the street.
We're talking right there.
Yeah, it's this little knob
Section
right
right
here.
there.
I mean, the
It's
street
almost like-
used to just sweep this way, and then
But now
they
it's-
built this little
Island.
island, yeah.
Anyway,
I don't know what to say about that. That really isn't in the way of,
see what you can do to.
We will.
Okay.
I would like to say, though, I'm kind of excited about the sewer coming down and the potential development opportunities for people.
Well, we were just talking about that before you got in here. We're looking.
And I think that spot where, Northern Bank, that whole triangle there, I think that's going to be,
well, have you seen the plan for that?
I have not.
It's gorgeous.
It is.
I was going to say, I think that's
Some
going
of
to
us
be
like
kind of
it.
essential. I think that was going to be really
I look forward
essential
to
to
improvements.
be like a
Yes.
centerpiece in that
Well,
area.
That's kinda
their
what they're
goal,
planning, yeah.
Is to make.
So they should be coming in October, we're hoping.
Yeah.
So.
I should modify it is, as they presented it to us to, get the rezoning, was very attractive. And
Yeah.
as someone who's looked at the back of the decrepit greenhouse for many, many years,
My wife kept telling me, buy it, we'll do something with it. Buy it, we'll do something with it. And I'm like, no.
Oh, what are you gonna do with it? Yeah. Anyway, well,
Who
Thank
owns
you.
it now? Does Mr. Furbick still own it?
Which?
The one beside me.
Oh, no, the town owns it.
Town owns that.
It's a designated historic structure.
So they're gonna renovate it, I assume?
We don't know yet.
Working on it.
They're trying to figure out what's.
Someone wanted to turn it into like an art museum and a functioning place like that.
That was something in the past. The town bought it, and with the intention of placing historic restrictions on it, but not necessarily not developing it. There's been a process.
Oh, there's Northern Bank for you.
Yeah, so this would be the bank building.
And there's no exit onto Robinson Road from the development.
Yeah.
Anyway. Okay, well,
I think that would be great. It looks pretty good.
yep. I will see what you can do and get back to us.
Yeah,
Kind of
yeah,
leave it flexible, how's that?
that'd be great. Yeah.
Thank you.
Well, thank you for your time. I know it's.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Formal at the end.
That's all right.
And if it would matter, I would give a Robinson Road discount.
Shoot, all these years.
Thank you. Good luck, thank you. 7:30, continue public hearing for 160 Air Road. We're gonna continue that till 7:30 on,
Monday, September 19th.
I think we're done.
Yes, please, I have to go
We
back
just
to
have to
work.
vote on it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
At what time?
7:30.
7:30?
We're keeping the whole agenda for, yeah, we're just moving it up.
Okay, all right.
All
So
those in
moved.
second,
You can't second your own motion.
Second.
all those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Make a motion to dissolve this.
So moved.
Do we have anything else,
Second.
Myron? Wait, no, we're good? All those in favor? Aye. Good. Shut us off TV.